Welcome to the KY Skills Use Instructional Framework webinar series, meant to introduce adult education instructors to how these new resources can improve overall instructional and programmatic efficiency and work in concert with the implementation guide. This introduction to the Instructional Framework Series webinar is part one of a 5-part webinar series. Once you have watched all 5 parts, please remember to complete the Survey Monkey Questionnaire found on the new KY Skills U Professional Learning webpage. This will help verify your fulfillment of the 4-hour professional learning requirement that exists for instructors working 500 or more hours per year. I'm Lori Looney, a Senior Associate on the KY Skills U College and Career Prep team. I'll be your narrator for this introductory webinar and for the Reasoning Through Language Arts Instructional Framework webinar. I hold a Rank 1 in English. I have over 16 years experience teaching English and a variety of communications courses in grades 9 through 12, in the community and technical college system, and in a university setting. I was a BCTC Workforce Solutions Project Manager formerly, and I also hold national training certifications in customer service and leadership development. I have served as a Kentucky adult education instructor and as a program director. Currently, I serve as the CCP point person for instructional leadership, the Framework Series, RLA, and Professional Learning Communities, or PLCs. Just a few housekeeping notes before we get started. First of all, I just want to make sure you know there are 4 frameworks, and you see the titles of all frameworks listed here on your screen. I also want to be sure you're aware that all frameworks are housed on the new KY Skills U Professional Learning webpage. I encourage all of you to review the frameworks carefully because the resources contained in each framework could significantly impact your instruction and reduce your instructional planning time. This screen shows how to navigate to the Professional Learning webpage. From our home page, you click on the Educators tab, scroll down till you see Professional Learning Information, click on that hyperlink, and then you land on a page that looks like the screen you're looking at now. There are 5 framework webinars. I recommend that you view the webinars in the following order. First, you should be viewing this introductory webinar, so good job, I think you're doing that. Then you should view the student webinar, the math webinar, the RLA webinar, and the instructional technology webinar. After you have viewed the entire series, I recommend that you return to the Professional Learning webpage to complete the survey. I just want to remind you that as you watch these webinars, you could look for the answers to the survey as you go. The survey will ask you to identify one strategy from each framework you would consider using in your program and why. It will ask you to identify any gaps you see in the frameworks, and it'll ask you for suggestions for the future. Now that we've taken care of housekeeping, let's get started. The framework series was inspired by many hardworking Kentucky adult educators. Christina Marsh of Jefferson Community and Technical College and Donnie Osborne of the Kentucky Educational Development Corporation shared with the CCP team iterations of instructional frameworks they had developed for each of their local programs. The work of several other dedicated adult educators informed the current framework series. John Greenwell and Missy Brownson Ross developed the student framework, Joanna Botts developed the instructional technology framework, and Beth Rudd, who is pictured here on the far right, developed the Reasoning Through Language Arts framework. The original frameworks evolved into our current 4 framework series aligned to the Links Adult Ed Teacher Competencies, TABE 1112 Blueprints, and the GED High Impact Indicators. In addition, the frameworks contain ready-to-use practical examples, research, tutorials, lesson plans, customized playlists, and resources from other adult education-specific Open Educational Resources, or OERs. The frameworks can be used in a wide variety of ways. They can become a common instructional foundation for our state, a common professional learning community foundation, an observation and instructional coaching resource for program directors, and a distance learning resource for instructors. The frameworks can be used to ensure compliance with KY Skills U implementation guidelines. The frameworks can be used to satisfy the informal checklist requirement for low-duration courses. They can be used to increase the likelihood of a student attaining a level gain within the recommended time frame for same. They can also be used to serve a vital purpose of bridging the gap between 9-10 and TABE 11-12. All of the frameworks share the same resource color coding. This master color code provides an easy visual organization of all frameworks. If a resource is highlighted in yellow, that means it's a KY Skills U Lesson Bank lesson plan. If it's highlighted in gray, that means the resource is a customized instructional playlist. Playlists are typically no longer than 10 minutes in duration, and because each playlist has a unique URL, they can be copied and pasted into lesson plans or distributed via instructional technology or social media to assist with distance learning. If a resource has no highlight, that means it is a reputable open educational resource. A pink highlight signifies a model lesson prepared and presented by one of Kentucky's hardworking adult educators. To improve navigation of framework resources, please note the following. If the resource you choose is a video, please be sure to download the video for best quality. In addition, if the resource is a KY Skills U Lesson Bank lesson plan, you must have a Lesson Bank account before you can gain full access to the lesson plan or to the abbreviated grab-and-go version of the lesson plan. To create a Lesson Bank account, simply go to lessonbank.kyae.ky.gov and click on the Create an Account button on the top right of the home page. In the future, we welcome providers to share feedback about framework ease of use and relevance. We consider the framework series to be a living set of documents that will change and evolve over time to better meet provider needs. We hope to populate the frameworks with more examples of the fine instruction taking place in adult education classrooms across Kentucky. We are also hopeful the frameworks will earn the same links recommended resource designation the Kentucky Skills U Lesson Bank already enjoys. This concludes the introduction to the Instructional Framework series. Please remember to follow a link on the Professional Learning webpage to complete the Survey Monkey survey after you have viewed the remaining 4 webinars. Remember, you're only required to complete this survey if you are an instructor working 500 plus hours per year. Again, my name is Lori Looney, and I want you to feel free to contact me with any questions or concerns you may have regarding any of the frameworks. Please proceed to the next webinar in the series, which should be Introduction to the Student Persistence and Retention Framework. I appreciate the time you devoted to viewing this webinar.